Can't get any words. Podcast on blast, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse Podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse Podcast. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope your weeks are off to a ripper. We've got a lot to cover today. A lot of fun stories to brush over. But yeah, first of all, thank you for the love on the last couple of weeks where I've done a couple of double up episodes. What have we had? We've had 2 lots of guests and a UFC breakdown. We were supposed to have another guest today, but the fucking dog pulled out. Jesus. No, I'm joking. He did have to reschedule due to some work commitments. And when he sent me that message, I shot him a message back and I said, you have made me so fucking hard right now, because after the week and the weekend that I've had, I was pretty keen just to come in, shoot the shit on a solo episode and just get one episode out for you guys this week, because holy, there is a lot of work in busting out 2 episodes a week for you guys. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy all the editing. I obviously enjoy the recording. Like, it's fun as fuck. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a nice, cruisy, easy week this week. So guest episode next week and then a UFC breakdown the following week. So in this quiet week I've got for you guys, why don't you go back to last week's episodes, give that solo episode a little bit more love, and listen to Cody Grimsey's episode. He was a cracker to get in. I knew as soon as we locked that in that it was going to be a battle of the minds between 2 of Brisbane's most socially awkward characters. You know what I mean? But yeah, it actually turned out to be pretty fun. And yeah, he texted me after. He's like, "Oh, pretty stoked with how that came out." So thank you for coming in, Cody, and thank you for everyone that gave that episode a watch or a listen and went and gave him a follow. He's a dead set legend. So a few more guests lined up, a couple of podcasters. Trying to get a few more local comedians in. And that's another thing that I've sort of come to terms with as of late. Like, from the start of the podcast, I was just chasing big names. And I was like, it just used to put that added layer of pressure. And I'm like, fuck, like these last couple of people, like the Nelson twins, I've had a bit of a rapport with. Is that the word? Like, just running into them at gigs and having general chats and things like that. Cody, I see, like, I don't know, once a fortnight, once every 3 weeks. So there's already that bit of banter and like relationship there. So I figured, why not just keep getting sort of people like that? And hey, if a big guest pops up, like there's a couple of, what would you even call them? I don't even want to call them influencers, because yes, they're big on social media, but they're not your typical influencer, so to speak. And a couple of them have like verbally agreed for sort of back end of Feb, early March. So God, I've got my fingers crossed for them. I reckon we'd have some sick chats. But anywho, appreciate you guys listening to me dribble. I know it's like double the amount of dribble you guys are used to getting every week. But hey, I sent the message out there last year. You guys told me what you wanted, so I'm delivering. And now I just need you guys to jump on the bandwagon, show some support, throw us up in your stories, tell some friends, whatever you can do to help us grow. Like, here's another thing I've been doing this week. Oh, this is crazy. This is like my pre-show ramble. Like, I didn't have any of this planned. But anyway, I was talking to a couple of mates the other day in the podcasting game. Matty Carvosso, who's been on the podcast today, and Ty Avery, that's who was supposed to be today's guest. He does the Roads We've Walked podcast, which I think I was episode 3. So go check that one out. It was fun to be on the other side of the podcasting world and get interviewed. He's an absolute weapon at interviewing people. So I want to break that down with him when he comes in. But I'm in a bit of a group chat with those guys, and we were shooting the shit the other week. And Matty said something. He's like, we were talking about like goals and shit for all our podcasts this year. And I was like, for the last easily year, but further than that, like since I started the podcast, I was like, I'd be absolutely stoked to get a sponsor on board, you know? Like, I've had a couple of sponsors come on for an episode or 2 here and there, and I just want like a repetitive every week. This is our sponsor. This is who's supporting us to put the show on. And yeah, I sort of put that in the group chat, And I forget the exact words, but Maddie was just like, well, what's like stopping you from reaching out to companies? And I was like, fuck, that's actually like true. Like I never sat back and just thought about it. I'm like, shoot an email off, dickhead. So I've shot a fair few emails off, DMs and stuff this week. And like literally by surprise, so many companies, like big companies as well, have replied. And they've been like, and I expected this to happen. They're like, oh, unfortunately not. We've had to scroll through your page though. Like funny stuff. Keep it up. Hopefully in the future we can work together. And then they're like, oh, like say thank you to reaching out. Here's a 30% discount on our website. Go buy something for yourself or like something like that. And I'm like, fuck, even that's like pretty cool, you know? But yeah, if you guys know anyone, and I'm not looking for like Manscaped or Better Health or BetterHelp, is it? I don't even remember. I don't know. Like all the big guys that sponsor the big podcasts. Like if you're a local fish and chip company, like around my area, and you want to jump on the podcast and like the sponsorship is $6 hot chips free every week just to come on here and go, hey guys, go to Jerry's Fish and Chips in Waterford. I don't know if that's a real fish and chip shop, but just giving an example. Shoot me a DM. Let's make it happen. Because yeah, I'm keen to get some people on board as a bit of a sponsor. Like I would be this would be like dream sponsorship, right? A hat sponsorship. If any hat companies are listening or stumble across this, hit me up. I'll rock a cap every single episode. I'll wear your caps on stage while I do stand-up comedy. I'm keen to make something happen. So let's stop rambling about this nonsense. Let's rip into the episode. Did I even hit record? Yes, I did. I did hit record. Let's settle into the episode. Let's all take a breath. All right, that feels better. I might even have a sip of water, but to start with, actually, again, this is a lot of stories and shit about my kids. But I've come on here a few times and I've explained how terrible drop-offs are with my youngest son, Parker. Literally hell. And I had to do it again this morning. To be fair, this morning's was one of the better ones. Like, he was still clingy, he still didn't want to go, but at least he got in the car. And that is one of the biggest fights at the moment. Just getting him in the car, getting that seatbelt on, and making him leave that seatbelt on. Like, probably it's happened to me once and happened to Nikita once in the last 2 weeks. He'll just unbuckle his seatbelt and then just start jumping around the car. And we're like, mate, you can't fucking do this. Like, so we pull up, we strap him back in, all the hoo-ha. And Nikita goes, oh, what are we going to do? So she jumps on Google, and we had one of these for Westy when he was like a baby, when he had like the crossover seatbelts, if that makes sense. And they're called like a Houdini car strap, I think they are. And they're supposed to be for kids so they can't unbuckle their seatbelts and get out. And that one worked a treat because you'd do up the crossover seatbelt and then you'd put this thing on and there was no way for him to get out. So he'd just throw a tantrum and he'd be stuck in there. And Nikita stumbled across one for what's even the car seat called that Parker's in? Like a booster seat, I suppose, where it's not the crossover one anymore. It's just a standard kid's car seat where you use your normal seatbelt. So basically, it's just this little connector that you put on the buckle bit that you clip in so that they can't push the big red button. And I was like, genius. He is never going to escape this. But I see what I've done here is I've underestimated my 4-year-old's brain capacity because I've put that on. Like, this was last week. I've done the school drop-off and I've gone, yeah, I've got you now, buddy. I've got you now. You're never going to escape this. So I put him in the car seat. I put this thing on, buckle him in, and I stand there and I watch him for the next maybe 10 seconds, try to work this thing out. He's like, it blew his mind for a bit. He's like, what the fuck is this wizardry? What have you done right now, Harry Potter? And I've shut the door, all smug. I'm like, gotcha, buddy. Gotcha. And as I've walked around my car into my driver's seat, sat down, still so smugly, I've got my seatbelt, clicked it in, gone to take off, and Parker is now beside me on my little center console. And I'm like, I've turned around to see how he could have escaped. And Westy's like, oh, he just climbed out the top of the seatbelt. And I'm like, of course. Like, how have they not thought of this? Like, he's realized that you can't unbuckle it. Seatbelts are obviously like stretchy as fuck. So he's just pulled that thing out and just climbed out the top of it. And I'm like, fuck, like, what are we going to do now? Like, there's nothing else we can do other than like Oki strap him into his car seat. But then I said to Nikita, I'm like, how terrible would we feel if, like, touch wood, we get in a car accident and we just can't get him unbuckled because of all these, like, what's that? I forget the name. I was going to reference some sort of historic magician. Adrian will be kicking himself right now. He'll be like, I don't even know. But anywho, don't fucking buy one if your kid is good at escaping car seats. The only thing that got him back in his car seat is the day before he went and found, like, you know those little paper wasp nests? I don't know if you guys have them at your house, but they always build them on our bricks and shit outside. They found one the other day that still had one in it. So they've like dissected it and got all the insides, and it was like a paper wasp egg and a dead paper wasp and shit. So he's put it in this little jar, and then then he wanted to be the weird kid to take it to school. I'm like, oh, do you really want to do that? Like, let's just explain it to the other kids. He's like, nah, I want to take it. And I'm like, all right, sure. So we take it to school, and then I had to be the awkward parent because I'm like, all right, go tell your teacher you've brought it to school. And he's like, nah. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go and tell the teacher. So then we're both just like, we're at a checkmate with each other. We both didn't want to talk to the teacher. And he goes, oh, just put it in my bag and I'll pull it out later. And I'm like, oh, I don't like the sound of that, because if there's anything weirder than a kid taking a bug to school, it's him pulling it out halfway through the day going, hey, everyone, check out my weird bug I brought to school. Anyway, I pick him up and he goes, I go, did everyone like your wasp? And he's like, I pulled it out of my bag and my teacher said I couldn't have it. And I was like, oh, Devo, at least you had a crack, buddy. At least you had a crack and tried to show everyone you're a cool wasp. But anywho, I picked him up again the other day. This is a lot of fucking Parker at school stories because it's consuming our life at the moment, just trying to make it all happen. But I picked him up the other day and he's sitting on the mat, and it's pretty cool because you walk in the back of the class and for 30 seconds or so, he doesn't notice I'm there. So I like to stand there and watch if he's like talking to other kids or if he's getting involved and stuff. And a lot of the time he is, which is good. Like, it's good. And the teachers have told us this. They're like, once you drop him off and walk out the gate, he's pretty well sweet for the rest of the day. Like, he might have a couple of little tantrums here and there, but like, don't stress. He's fine. So I'm like, oh, that's good to know. So I walk in the other day and I'm watching him, and then he finally sees me. He gets up, sprints over, and the teacher's like, oh, Weston, do you want to come and get your sticker before you go? Oh, Parker, sorry, not Weston. So he runs back over to the teacher, gets his sticker, and the teacher goes, do you know what he got that for? And I'm like, no idea. What did he get it for? She goes, we've got this thing here where when I want the kids to be quiet, I go, all right, everyone, holding our bubbles, and that means we need to take a big breath, and so that we don't speak, we keep a bubble in our mouth like this. That was for video watchers, and I should do that again. That would be a funny as fuck thumbnail. Ready? That was fucking lame. I regret doing that. I might even edit that out. So I go, oh, okay, cool. And she goes, yeah. So we told Parker to do it, and Parker held his bubble for half an hour. And I'm like, cool. Well, that's great news. At least he must have been quiet for half an hour. But yeah, it was a funny scenes. But we got in the car, and he told us this. We're cruising home, and Westy's telling me, this is the other crazy thing. Like, Westy used to be like this. He'd just rattle off facts and stuff the whole drive home. And now he's older. Like, even drop-offs. Like, this morning, I barely got my car out of reverse, and the passenger door's flung open. He's got his bag. He's like, all right, see you this afternoon. And I'm like, see you, buddy. Have a good day. Love you. And he's like, yeah, see ya. And then he just runs off to one of his mates that's walking up as well. I'm like, sick. I was hoping I had a couple more years, but he's growing up. But same deal. Afternoon, I'm like, oh, anything interesting happened today? He's like, nah. I go, do anything fun? He goes, oh, played soccer at lunch. I'm like, cool. So glad I'm sending you to school for that. Anyway, Parker's the opposite. He wants to tell me everything about his day as much as he hates it. And he tells us this weird fact about, like, volcanoes or something. And I'm like, oh, that's a fun fact. You learned that at school today? And he's like, no. And I'm like, where'd you learn it? He's like, my teacher told me. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you learned it at school? He's like, no, my teacher told me. And I'm like, okay, but did your teacher tell you at school? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so you learned it at school? And he's like, no, my teacher taught me it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a long fucking, how long school go for? 12 years. It's going to be a long 12 years. This is going to be a repeat of me going to school. I can see it now. But let me have a little sip. That is some delicious water this morning. Very, very good. I wish I knew the brand for you guys. Logan City Council, if you're listening to this, there's been an issue with our tap water for easily 2 months or something now. I think I even spoke about it on the podcast a while ago. So we've had to buy 5 packs of bottled water every week just so we don't have to drink poison. So, hey, you should give us a kickback on our rates or something, Logan City Council. Send this clip to the council, everyone. Get me a discount, or just pay me, or deliver some bottled water to my house. Anything. Maybe the Logan City Council wants to sponsor the podcast. I never even thought of that. I should reach out. But this episode should just be called the Parker episode. But exciting thing, right? He struggles to make friends. He doesn't really have too many friends, which is absolutely fucking heartbreaking. And he come home a week or two ago with a birthday invitation, and it was the most exciting day of Nikita and I's life. She's like, oh my God, he got invited to a birthday party. Now, this was yesterday. So we rock up and we get to the party. The little girl's mum, it was at Area 51, which for anyone that doesn't live in Brisbane is a giant play centre. I'm pretty sure it's one of the biggest ones in Australia, but don't quote me. Someone's probably built a bigger and better one now. Anyway, we get to the party. We get to the area where the girl's having the party, and the mum's there, but the little girl isn't there. She's already off playing in the play centre somewhere. So we're making small talk, and then P and Westy are like, oh, can we go play now? And I'm like, oh, we sort of got to find the girl and say happy birthday to her. And they're like, yeah, we'll come back soon. So I walk away with them, and Nikita texts me, and she's like, the little girl's back here now. Bring Parker and Westy back to say happy birthday to her. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Get him back there. And in that time, the little girl had run back into the play centre somewhere. So I'm like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do? We're just going to keep ships in the night. We'll just keep missing each other. And then Nikita goes, oh, she's just a little girl. She's in an Elsa princess dress from Frozen, and she's covered in glitter and stuff. She goes, just walk around, try find her, and get the boys to say happy birthday. And I looked at her, and she's gone, what? And I've gone, are you trying to get me on some sort of watch list or something? I'm not walking around this play centre asking every little girl, every 4-year-old girl dressed as Elsa, if it's their birthday today. I will legitimately be arrested. Some dad will come out and curb stomp me in the fucking ball pit. I'm not going around asking little girls if it's their birthday today. And she's like, oh, you're making it so weird. I'm like, no, that is criminal. Could you imagine if our boys were playing in the ball pit, some random dude just came up and he's like, hey buddy, is it your birthday today? No, I would not tolerate that shit. So Nikita's like, all right, fine. Luckily we did cross paths with her, and Parker's like, that's her. So we went over to her, and he just awkwardly stood there staring at her, and I was like, happy birthday. But yeah, fucking hell. Trying to get me on a watch list. But the bad part of the whole day, a callback to the car situation. We're like, all right, time to go, P. And he just starts his tantrum, right? He's like, I don't want to go. I want to keep playing. I don't want to get in the car, yada, yada, yada. So we do some top tier parenting, right? We get him to the car. We buckle him in. He's doing the same thing. He's climbing out of his seatbelt and stuff. So Nikita's like, all right, I'll sit in the back seat with him, and I'll just hold the seatbelt tight and hold my hand on the little buckle so that he can't unclip. I'm like, all right, sounds like a plan. Let's do this. So she climbs over, starts doing her thing. And look, Parker can get pretty aggressive when he's hit that point. He's all kicky, punchy, scratchy. And obviously it's hard to discipline that while you're like crammed in a back seat. And I'm trying to drive, so I'm trying to do what I can from the front seat. Like I'm leaning back like Vin Diesel, trying to separate these two. And Nikita's in tears, like Parker's headbutting her in the nose, literally scratched up her face, scratched up both arms, scratched up her neck and chest and stuff. Legit, like horrible scenes by the time we pulled up. She was bleeding everywhere and not good, right? So before this, right, Nikita had arranged with our new neighbours to go and have a fun Sunday barbecue with them, okay? And I was of the mindset of, okay, maybe this tantrum is the tipping point that we go, hey, so sorry, but we're going to have to reschedule this, explain to them what's happened. They've got kids as well. I'm sure they'll understand. And that didn't seem to happen. It was full steam ahead. We went over there and it was going well. We're making small talk. Everything was going fine until, oh God, until Nikita's sitting there and they've got a little girl over there. I think she's like maybe 10 or something. Nikita's sitting there. She's trying to hide the scratches and shit on her arms as best she can. She's just sitting there like cross-armed. But obviously, like, you can still see the ones on her face and neck, although she tried to, like, touch them up with makeup. And the little girl goes, oh, what are all the scratches on your arms and stuff from? And Nikita's paused. Now, if there's anything worse than someone asking you what all your, like, scratches and bruises are with your husband sitting next to you, you don't pause. You don't pause to think because then every eye at the barbecue is starting to look at me and I'm sitting there innocently. I'm like, wasn't me. And Nikita, instead of going, oh, Parker had a tantrum, he scratched me, he was kicking me and stuff, she goes, oh, I got in a fight with my cat. What? Those are not cat scratches. Those are not cat scratches. And what, did you hold on to the cat for half an hour? There's too many scratches there. There's too many bruises for a little cat to make. This is not a good excuse. And then consecutively, the barbecue has sort of gone, oh, okay. And then I felt judgment. I felt the mood of the room tip in like in a way that people potentially were thinking, did James do this? Should we call someone? Should we go, hey, Nikita, can you come and help me bring some more plates out? And then while we're in the kitchen go, do you actually want to tell us anything? We got home, I'm like, a cat scratched you? And she's like, what? I thought it was a good excuse. I'm like, no. They think that I did that. And she's like, oh, why would they think that? And I'm like, I don't know. The long pause followed by the stupidest excuse I've ever heard. And she's like, oh, you're just being silly. But fuck, you weren't there. You do not understand the feeling that brushed over my body. But yeah, we were contemplating before we went that whether, like, obviously after the morning we'd had tantrums, like having to be social at the party and stuff. I don't deal good in those situations, okay? And I mentioned on the episode with Cody last week, I don't even think I told you guys this, but got this weird, like, fucking thing happening at the moment where if I start to feel awkward in a conversation or make eye contact for too long, just get the weirdest fucking overwhelming feeling to just, like, break down. I don't know what it is. I have to get some shit sussed, right? And obviously I'm like, fuck. Like, Nikita and I are standing over here before we go, and Nikita's still crying from obviously what she's had to just deal with Parker. And I've gone, babe, we can't go over there. Like, how awkward. Like, what if you're over there, you start to get in pain because of all the scratches, you start crying, and then I've got to start making small talk and I get awkward and I start crying. And they're just sitting there going, who the fuck are these people? These are the weirdest people to live next to. So I said to Westy, I'm like, Westy, if mum and dad start crying over there, can you just start doing like a dance or something? He's like, sure, whatever I've got to do. Well, fuck me. Where are we at? 24 minutes. Yeah, we're traveling good, guys. We're traveling good. This is my last little personal story for the week. Then we'll rip into weekend comedy. So This is a work story again, okay? So I'm going to be a little bit vague, but is what it is. When I did a measure the other day, well, it wasn't even a measure. When I did a meeting with this lady the other day, she wanted a new kitchen, just discuss some ideas, things like that. Now, it's at an area near us where they are large acreage blocks. And I get to the lady's house, fully fenced, house is a little bit set back, but it gave off the vibe that they had a dog. You know what I mean? Like they had a dog for protection or even just like a friendly cattle dog or something. But in these situations, I like to just make sure. So I've given her a call from the front gate. I've gone, hey, I'm just out the front. Can I come inside? And she goes, yeah, no worries. I go, I just wanted to double check you didn't have a dog that was going to get out or something. And she goes, oh, no. I've got a dog, but they're super friendly. Like you'll see when you get in. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Open the gate. As soon as that noise of the gate opens, I see this little golden retriever puppy run towards me. And it was like, it wasn't a puppy, but it wasn't like old yet. Like I'd imagine it was close to 1 year old. And it's leaping up to me. Its ears are flapping. I'm like, oh, this is adorable. So it gets up to me. I start like scruffing its ears. I'm like, hey, buddy, how you going? I'm patting it. I'm making small talk with the dog as the lady's walking towards me. I've become besties with this dog, okay? And it's obsessed with me. The whole walk to the house, I'm talking to the lady now, but this dog's jumping up on my leg. It's having the best time. Like it's wagging its tail. And we go inside. And I go, oh, do you want me to take my boots off? She's like, oh, no, all good. And I go, oh, the dog's trying to get in behind me. That's all good? She's like, yeah, the dog's allowed inside. I'm like, okay, sweet. So we make it through to the kitchen, okay? And I'm talking to this lady. She's throwing out ideas of where she wants everything and colours and things like that. And I'm paying attention. And all of a sudden, this dog's still beside me. And it's jumping up on the side of my leg and I'm patting its head. And I'm going, oh, come on, buddy, I got to listen. And I'm like trying to throw out little lines like that. Now, the dog goes from beside me, okay? And it stands in front of me. And all of a sudden, almost as if there was a fucking schmacko in my pants, this dog has just started to nosedive into my dick. Like it was a woodpecker. It was pecking at my dick. And I've gone, whoa, ease up, buddy. I'm like trying to push its head down. And like the lady she can see it's happening, but she's just still talking to me about her kitchen. So I'm awkwardly like wriggling, pushing this dog away. I'm like trying to give it gentle like kicks out of the way with my leg. I'm like, oh, come on, buddy. Like I'm trying to work out what's going on here. And this lady, like, she's just letting it play out. Like this dog is legitimately just rubbing its wet nose across the head of my dick. Like if this lady didn't interrupt when she did, I for sure would have fucking came my pants. I would have came my pants at a check measure and it would have been the most embarrassing thing ever. But for whatever reason, after like 5 minutes, she's like, oh, come on, I'll put the dog outside. And I'm like, brilliant. Thank you so much. So she's put the dog outside and then we've had to go outside the house to look at where they're like extending the kitchen. Same deal. The dog just fucking, it was like I had a sausage in my pants. I'm like, bro, can you get the fuck down? Like it was so awkward. But yeah, that was my awkward check measure story for the week. I don't fucking know. But anyway, let's rip into week in comedy. Let me have a sip here. A little bit to cover in this because it wasn't my standard comedy week, as you guys know. So flew over to Perth, which Jesus, it is a pretty exciting but stressful thing to fly. Like I've been on 2 planes in my life, I think. And 2? Yeah, I've been to Newcastle and I've been to Sydney. So, yeah, it was a pretty, like although I'd done it before, first time I was with Mum, second time I was with Nikita. So they pretty much handled the whole thing for me. So this was the first time I sort of had to grow up and do it all on my own. And Jesus, it was stressful. I thought I was going to send my bag to like Indonesia or something. I was so surprised when I landed and I saw my bag come out of the carousel. I'm like, how did I do this? But anyway, I was pretty stoked because I checked in, got on the plane, and no one beside me. I had a whole aisle to myself. I'm like, this is fucking magical. So I've spread out, put my laptop bag, put my little snacks and stuff everywhere. I've even like got my leg up like this on the seat beside me. I'm like, this is living. Couldn't have asked for a better trip over there. And it's pretty crazy to like fly from one side of Australia to the other and just look out the window at how much it changes from Queensland to Western Australia. Like, it was nuts to see. And it was also cool. Like, we didn't get to see it, but the pilot at the start was like, oh, because of winds today, normally we go south and then cut across. But because of the winds, we're going to go north and then we're going to cut across Alice Springs. And if there's no clouds or anything, you can stare out the window and see Uluru. Like, and I was like, oh, fuck, could you imagine? But I was looking out that window like I was a 10-year-old and I just could not see it. So I was like, oh, clouds must be shit or something. But yeah, it was pretty nuts just to fly over and see all that. Like, I for sure would have looked like such a dickhead. I probably have about 300 photos of just like out the window at just like the ground. And I'm like, this is insane. But yeah, I just have a simple brain like that. Like, I can stand outside and stare at clouds for hours and I'm like, this is the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. But yeah, this is one thing that I noticed. Look, you hear a lot of comedians write gear about like planes and hotels and stuff because that's a big part of their life. They just travel all day, stay at a hotel, do it again the next day. But no one warned you about this. I was about halfway through the flight and I've gone, fuck, I'm going to have to go and piss. So I go to the toilet and this thing is tight. Like, I was standing there and both my shoulders were touching the walls. I was like, Jesus Christ. But I've started to piss, and anyone that knows me, I pee more regularly than your average folk, you know? Like, and it's not even like consistently, it's volume as well. Like, every time I piss, it's a big piss. And I've gone to the toilet, and because the toilet must sort of vacuum seal until you flush it, because when you flush it, it just fucking like launches that air. Like, I thought I was going to get sucked out of the plane. But I've started pissing and I'm like, the bowl is getting full. Like, none of this liquid is seeping away. Like, I'm like, fuck, is this all going to come out all over the toilet floor? I'm going to have to explain that. I legit pissed so much that it came to like the lip of the toilet, like I don't even know what it is, but does that make sense? Like the lip. And I was so scared. Like, I was thinking during it, I'm like, should I hit flush? But then I remember like, and I don't even know if this is like an old wives' tale, but I think you're supposed to flush the toilet with the lid shut because there's so much suction. That's probably just a fucking lie I got told or something at some point. But I'm like, I can't do that or I will get sucked out of the plane. But yeah, it was pretty crazy just to see that bowl just fill up and just the panic that overtook my body. But yeah, landed in Perth and straight away, like a lot of people like shit on the Gold Coast for neck tats and leg sleeves and stuff. And I don't know, like I reckon Perth has the Gold Coast number. As soon as I got off the plane, neck tats everywhere, chicks with full leg sleeves, tattoos everywhere. I don't think I've ever seen more tattoos in one location. And like, I frequent the Gold Coast quite regularly. And maybe like, as I was doing it, I'm like, maybe I'm just like immune to Gold Coast tattoos. And maybe these are all like slightly different tattoos, so they stand out to me. But soon as I landed, I was like, all right, I need to like reset my brain somehow. So I've gone to the hotel and I've gone, oh, look, I'm super early. Can I check in? They've gone, oh, unfortunately, your room's not ready yet. They go, you can leave your bags here though and go for a walk around and things like that. I'm like, all right, sweet. So I've left my bags there and I've done a quick Google and I've gone closest Good Life gym to here because that's the gym franchise that I go to. And there was one legitimately like a 5-minute walk from the hotel and I'm like, sick. This is magical. Get there and again, like we're in the same country, but the differences from like Brisbane to there was insane. I went to sign in. I'm like, they didn't have like the normal scanner that we have here. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm from Brisbane. I just looking to go to the gym while I'm over here. And they're like, oh, okay, just scan here. And I'm like, oh, the thing is, this is my card. And that's a different scanner. And they've gone, oh, okay. Well, we've never seen that card before. And I'm like, okay, can I use the gym? Like I felt like a fucking criminal. And they're like, oh, what's your name? We'll search you up. And I had to like manually check in. I was like, sick. Then I go downstairs to the gym. This thing is like, this is not even an exaggeration, okay? I went and looked at the hotel gym later that day. The hotel gym would have been bigger and had more equipment. So I feel sorry for people in Perth that have to pay a Good Life gym membership to use that facility. So yeah, it was so tiny and pokey, and all the machines were just like the most basic of basic, but still got a decent workout in, got a bit of a sweat on. I was like, fuck, what can I do now? Went and got myself a nice little lunch. Nothing exotic or anything. I just went to Grilled, which is pretty fancy for me. So yeah, that was pretty good. Except when I went to Grilled, and again, this is not shitting on, and I'm not punching down, I'm not shitting on any minorities or anything, but this particular Grilled near the Good Life gym in Perth seemed to, and this is like hats off to them. This is good for them to do. They like hired, almost every worker there was disabled, okay? And again, I'm not fucking, nobody come at me. I'm saying it's a good thing that they're giving these guys an opportunity. But they've served me. I'm being super polite and nice to them and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I'm eating my burger and there just becomes this riot. Like there was a pecking order there and they all just started screaming at each other and stuff. And I don't know if it was like my son's got autism as well. So sometimes he doesn't quite pick up like social cues and things like that. So while they were doing this, like there's people eating their meals just staring, and we're like I didn't know if they couldn't pick up that like this probably isn't the environment to do this in, but it was pretty insane to see. And then it was like they just sort of settled and went back to all their jobs and stuff. And then one of the ladies just sort of walked around with her chest pumped out like she just won the battle. I was like, Jesus, everyone needs to fucking calm down here. But yeah, by the time I'd gone to gym and eaten, the hotel had called me and they're like, oh, your room's ready. You can come back and check in. And this is like, I don't know, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And I've gone, checked into the room, nice as fuck room. And then I'm like, all right, what am I going to do now? So I get my laptop out, try and have an attempt to write, and my brain was just not firing. So I'm like, all right, let's go check out Perth. Let's see what Perth's all about. And I just start walking around the area of the hotel and stuff. And I don't know if I was staying in like it was all the nice hotels and stuff, but it felt a lot like I was staying in Brisbane's version of like Fortitude Valley. Like there was just a lot of hustle and bustle going on, if that makes sense. A lot of shady characters, and sort of felt a little bit unsafe, to be honest. So I've walked around a bit. I saw like RAC Arena, which is where the UFC was last year in Perth. Holy fuck, that was probably one of the coolest like entertainment centers I've ever seen. Like I walked around the whole thing, took photos and shit, and I saw Russell Peters is going to be there in March, which is sick that like a comedian has sold that out. So put that on the bucket list as well next time I go to Perth. But yeah, I sort of didn't really find too much else to do. So I just went back up to my hotel room and basically spent the rest of the afternoon trying to focus my brain and write some stuff, but just could not get my brain to click, you know what I mean? And I just ended up rereading and sort of changing a few bits and pieces of everything that I'd written up to now. And the good thing from it all is I was stoked with where the whole thing, where I've got it all to, you know? Like I was reading through it and I was laughing to myself, which is usually a good sign that you're onto something. So I'm so keen to, like, it's annoying as well because I legit just have to, like, wrap it up. Like, that's all I've got. I've probably got, like, another 10 minutes to fill and then it's good to go. But it's just, like, I don't know. It's just something about my brain. It, like, almost doesn't want to finish it because then it's, like, pressure's on to go take this out to the world and see if it's any good. But is what it is. But, yeah, I didn't really get any writing done, but a lot of editing and rereading, which was just as productive, I suppose. But Jesus, it was it's a bad place for, and like I was not at this point, but it was so clear to me that this is why so many like comedians and entertainers and stuff get in such like a dark space in this time, because holy fuck, like sitting in a hotel room by yourself, just with your own thoughts, like my thoughts are already fucked, but it was just not good, you know, like it was something very clear stood out to me straight away. Like within the first couple of hours of sitting in my hotel room, I was like, okay. And I already pretty much knew this. I was like, I cannot, like, if I'm going to start touring and stuff, like once I got this show finished, I can't do it by myself 100%. Like I'll either have to take Nikita and the kids with me, take fucking, I don't know, Adrian and Ash with me, take some comedian friends, just cannot be alone because my brain races. And straight away I was like, I need to slow my fucking brain down. And when I checked in, the hotel's like, oh, here's 2 free vouchers to the bar downstairs. You get 2 free beers. And I'm like, all right, there's my safety net. And I've said it on here before. I don't enjoy drinking anymore. I only do it pretty much in social environments. But on Friday, I was like, nah, I need something to dumb my brain down, to stop it from thinking. So I walked downstairs. I'm like, oh, I want these 2 free drinks. And he's like, yeah, sweet. Here they are. You can drink them down here. I'm like, oh, can I take them up to my room? He's like, okay, but I have to give them to you in plastic cups. And I'm like, sick. So now I cruise up to my room just holding 2 beers in plastic cups. Depressing scenes, you know what I mean? Just sitting in your hotel room by yourself drinking beer out of a plastic cup. It is not ideal. But anyway, it definitely taught me that I don't want to tour by myself. So I need to work something out there. But we should probably rip into the gig. Let me scroll down here. Where's my mouse? We're fucking pushing time, aren't we, a little bit? So yeah, let's go through the gig. The venue, the Comedy Lounge, Western Australia. In there's actually 2 over there that I learned. One in Fremantle and one in like Perth City. So this is the one in Perth, and unreal, like awesome venue, purposely built just for comedy. All the bells and whistles, perfect seating layout, green room, bar, everything. Like just kitted out perfectly for comedy. And I was blown away straight off the bat. I'm like, this is magical. And it's also cool as well. It's like down its own little side alley. Like you go down a little alley just to get to it. Everything was just perfect. So I got there and I was literally staying across the road. Like I opened my hotel window and I could see the venue. And get to the venue, because I'd never been there before, I'm like, okay, the line was out to the road. It was a sold out show, which is sick. And I'm like, okay, do the comedians walk down past these people, or is there a back entrance? Do I stay in the line and check in? What's the deal? So I just sort of winged it, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to walk down and ask the person at the front door, hey, I'm performing. Do I go in or whatever? And they're like, yeah, go in straight upstairs, blah, 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 green room's up there, yada, yada, yada. So I go up there, and straight away, there's like a group of 5 people there, start talking to them, and they were all super nice, super polite, they were all welcoming, things like that. And I go, like, we're standing out there talking for 10, 15 minutes, and then I'm like, oh, is there like a green room or something? Because I've looked at the run sheet, and I was up second, and I'm like, all right, at least it's not first. And they're like, yeah, there's a green room, but like we don't really go in there until it's our time to go on stage. Like you're only supposed to have like the first 3 people in there. And then the show got closer and I was like, okay, I'm second, so I'll go in the green room. And then it became very clear to me that, like, I've said this before, that some of the places in Brisbane are a little bit cliquey, okay? Like a lot of the places put pretty similar lineups on every week. If you're in that group, you're pretty much guaranteed a spot, things like that. And as I've got in the green room, it is packed of like, I don't know, 6 people or something that aren't in the first sort of opening one. And I was like, oh, okay, this must be like the clique sort of thing. And I was standing in there, and like the chat and banter and stuff was definitely not what I was having outside. And I'm like, okay, I'm here with the crew now. And they weren't really like addressing me or talking to me or anything. And again, like, this is no shade on them, 100%. They don't know who the fuck I am. For all they know, this could be my first time doing comedy. Why entertain them? You know what I mean? But one dude, literally right before I was about to go on, he goes, oh, how long have you been doing it? I'm like, oh, just over 3 years. And he's like, holy fuck. And it was like soon as they heard that, like, they might have got a little glimmer of respect. And I was like, okay, like, you guys haven't really been talking to me up until now. So I've sort of shuffled a bit more down behind the curtain, ready to go on. And then they call my name. And I go on. And absolutely fucking destroyed, to put it nicely. It was so sick. Like, that crowd, that audience over there, definitely my kind of people. Straight away, they just started eating it up. And almost instantly, I was like, Jesus Christ, I might be in with a shot here. And got off stage, sort of walked through the people in the green room, and straight away from then. And this could have even been the thing. Like I said, they don't know who the fuck I am. But as soon as I crushed and I was walking past them again, straight away, they're all like, oh, that was a fucking hilarious set. Good job. Like, how are you enjoying Perth? Yada, yada, yada. So I sort of went out the back and I was kept chilling with the people that were there at the start, talking to me and stuff. And then, like, a couple of the people that were in the green room came out. They started offering me spots and stuff at other rooms, which, again, don't get me wrong, it's fucking sick. But I'm like, oh, I'm only here for one night, fly back tomorrow. But next time I'm here, let's for sure do it. So hopefully got a couple of, like, relationships from that for next time I'm over there. And the night kept going. Now, this is something that I noticed throughout the night as well. And I've heard, like, the bigger names in Australia say this before. And, like, Damien Power and things like that. I've heard him on a couple of podcasts say this. But with me being in, like, the Brisbane Gold Coast scene, a lot of the time I feel like some of the bigger names still see me as, like, that shitty open micer, if that makes sense. And they sort of, I don't know, like, it's... And I spoke about this with the, Brad Bishop and Taylor Coftree, like, over a year ago, of you sort of have to escape your scene because you'll always be an open micer in that scene. And I noticed that on Friday. I was like, oh, shit. Like, this feels good that, like, I'm not an open micer here. I'm, like, a comedian, so to speak. And, I sort of quickly realised watching everyone else's sets, like, I've heard Perth is pretty tolerant in what you can and can't, like, you can say, like, they're pretty easy. But some of the comedians were getting up there and saying some shit that just would not fly in the Brisbane scene. Like, borderline racist, borderline punching down, like, some pretty out there shit. And as I was watching all this, I'm like, I'm actually kind of appreciative of this scene now. Like, because, yes, I say some pretty out there shit up on stage, but the crowd is pretty good at letting you know when you've, like, crossed that far. And when I took what I'd sort of honed here over to Perth and it destroyed there without being overly crude or out there or anything, it was like, oh, fuck, okay. Brisbane and Gold Coast is actually a pretty sick place to hone your skill and then take it elsewhere. And same deal. I did not know she was going to be over there, but Anissa, that I've spoken about on the podcast before, she was over there in the pro category, and same deal. She fucking annihilated that room. It was so good to see. And even same deal. A couple of people were standing beside me at the back there. They were in my category, so like the what was it called, like novice or whatever. And they're watching Anissa crush, and they're like, "Oh, this isn't even that funny." And I'm like, "Cunt, shut the fuck up!" Like, she's fucking destroying. She destroys all over Australia. But anyway, but yeah, I don't even think I said it. Made it through to the final. So I'm supposed to go over there in another 2 weeks. I think the final is. So just working out things. I emailed the venue last night, just trying to get a bit more details and firm things up, and see if the next trip is like the final. So that'll be my last trip, because obviously going over there, it's an expensive process just to try and get that done. So yeah, pretty stoked that I made it through. Went over there and got through. So think I earned a little bit of respect over there. The venue manager came up to me after, and she was chuffed with what she saw. She's like, "You were fucking hilarious, yada, yada, yada." And that's pretty much what I went over there for, just to get in front of them and go, okay, this is who I am. Let's try and make this a frequent thing of me flying over there and getting some spots and things like that. So yeah, all in all, fucking pretty sick weekend. Like I said, I was pretty down about just the whole chilling by yourself thing in a hotel room. So I think that made me sort of think about the trip pretty negatively to start with. But yeah, once I was back, once I landed, saw Nikita and the kids again and everything felt normal. I was like, okay, it was sick. I went over there, crushed a gig, got through to the final, had a chat to the venue manager after, who we fucking hit it off, and made some decent connections, I suppose, for my next trip over there. So pretty chuffed. This is a crazy thing that I did. I came back and I don't think it's going to happen, but Sit Down Comedy put up a story last week or the week before, and they're like, oh, last chance to enter the Raw competition, which Cody and I spoke about last week, and I was going to give this year a skip. And I was like, fuck, I've just flown to the other side of the country to enter a competition. Why not do the one in my own backyard? So I emailed Fideli last night from Sit Down Comedy Club, and I just said, hey, mate, I know I'm probably too late, but can you put my name down for any of the Raw heats that are left over that you're still chasing numbers for? Or if anyone calls you the day of and sort of like pulls out or something, let me know and I'll fucking be there. So, there is a slight chance that I might be in the Raw competition this year if someone pulls out, but don't count on it. But let's rip into Turns Out It Can Get Worse. We're probably going to run a little bit overtime this week, which some people might like, some people might not. But what have I just done to my computer screen right here? Let me drag this across. What is the first one? Alrighty. Oh no. Alright, I've completely just fucked my computer screen. Hold up, everyone. Okay, why is this not dragging across? What is happening right now? Technical difficulties, everyone. Come across. There we go. Alright. First clip. So let's see what this is all about. Seems like it's a classroom. We've got the teacher in the middle there with a couple of her students. Let's see what they're up to. Lady Gaga. Nice.
Oh, you pissed off God. You'll see what he's got. 9/11. You ain't God. You ain't God.
You piss off God, you'll see what he's got. 9/11. Oh, that's religion, ladies and gentlemen. That is religion for you. So I don't know. We didn't learn that song at my private school I went to, but let's see who else is here. This is a fun one for us. So I know a lot of people shit on doing blackface, but it would appear that this person has done whiteface. Let's see what they got to say.
Blondes do have more fun. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I did enjoy that. Thank you. Look, I've seen a lot of news articles lately saying what has happened to Britney Spears, but I did not realize it was that bad, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone, thoughts and prayers to Britney Spears. That was fucking horrendous. Then this one. This is my last one. This is, I know Valentine's Day was this week. I just ended up getting Nikita some flowers and stuff, which I think was that's pretty normal to do, I think, on Valentine's Day. But if I had have seen this ad before then, I for sure would have got her this. So
this is no ordinary gummy bear. This is going to be a black gummy bear. Normally I mix the semen samples in translucent clay to get the natural coloring, but my client wanted a black base.
Yep.
The powdered semen sample doesn't change the color too much, so you still get a nice vivid black. And they wanted gold foil and gold glitter to accent, which I thought was just absolutely perfect. Of course, I had some leftover clay, so I made some beads for a complimentary bracelet. I hope you absolutely love him.
I love that gummy bear. And like I said, if I had have known about these gummy bears before Valentine's Day, Nikita would have got the most beautiful gummy bear of her life. I might even tell you what, when she gets home tonight, I'm going to give her the gummy bear of her dreams. Oh, God. I'm just going to go to Woolworths and get a pack of gummy bears and just come in them. Oh, it's fucking gross. Anyway, what else have we got here? Couple of things to touch on. No, actually, I'll just touch on this one. The other one, I was going to talk about the NBA All-Star Weekend, because if there's one weekend of NBA that I'd still like to watch to this day, it's the All-Star Weekend. Just all the best players coming together and it just basically being a glorified three-point shootout, dunk contest, everyone just having fun. And, like, it's funny because they all have fun for, like, the first 3 quarters, and then the last quarter they're like, all right, we need to fucking ball out right now. So that's on today. Let's talk about that next week maybe. We'll see. But the big one that I wanted to touch on, Andrew Schulz came out this week and he's got a release date for his special for the show that I saw this time last year, basically, where I came on and I said it was the best show that I'd ever seen. Still stand by that. Best stand-up comedy show I've ever seen, sorry. So I am so keen to see that come out and see where he finally got that to, because obviously it's a year later. A lot of that hour probably would have changed throughout different parts of the world that he's gone to, and now he's finally got it where he's wanted, and he's recorded it for Netflix, and it comes out, I think the 4th of March from memory, but don't quote me on that. It's early March. So yeah, everyone set reminders or whatever for that, because I guarantee it is going to be some of the funniest shit you've ever seen. But yeah, premature premise for the week. Oh, this was just some shit that I thought of on the plane. Again, I'm a touring comedian now. All my shit's going to be plane content. But look, flying is still relatively scary for me, okay? I was shitting myself the whole flight, especially at takeoff and landing. It's just such an unnatural feeling. But I got it was a 5.5 hour flight there or something. I got 4 hours in and I was like, fuck, it would suck to not only die in a plane crash, but it would suck to get 3/4 of the way through your journey and then die. Kill me at takeoff or something. That's when I'd want to die in a plane crash. Don't put me through a boring fucking 5 hour flight and then kill me in the last minute. That would fucking suck. I'm probably never going to do anything with that. But yeah, the other one I thought of, I said this to Ash and Adrian yesterday. They said it might be okay. They said it might be okay with a bit of work, but I was thinking of ideas while I was on the plane. And I don't know if this is necessarily a joke. It might be more of a skit that I film or something. And I don't even know if I will film this, but I was imagining, oh God, I don't even want to fucking say it. I was how funny would it be? Not even funny. Okay, this is not a funny topic to talk about. But imagine a suicide bomber got on a plane, okay? Now, me personally, everything on the plane was just so cool and fascinating to me. It blew my mind away. Every little thing, I was touching the seats and the vents, and every dial that I could touch, I was touching. So I was okay, sometimes suicide bombers are from third world countries and stuff. So if I'm blown away with this, I would imagine that they were especially blown away with it, right? No pun intended. And I'm okay, imagine a suicide bomber got on, the TV folds down and they start playing a movie like Marley and Me or something. All of a sudden, the suicide bomber's drying his eyes. He's that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a movie like that. And then all of a sudden he just feels the wheels of the plane touch down on the tarmac. And he's fuck, I forgot to blow up the plane. Oh God, that's horrible. I'm never going to do anything with that. That sounded even worse than the one I sent Ash and Adrian. But let's get into motivational clip for the week. This was just a fun little one that I brought to the table. They've been all serious and stuff lately. So here's just a good old fucking Aussie battler telling it how it is.
Cunts. So a bottle of water will cost you 50 cents at the supermarket, $2 at the gym, $3 at the fucking movies, or $6 on a fucking plane. Cunts. It's the same fucking bottle of water, same fucking water, nothing's fucking changed. The only thing that's changed its value is its fucking location. Cunts. So next time you're feeling you've got no fucking self-worth, maybe you need to change your location, cunts.
So there you go, cunts. If you feel like you need to change your fucking location, cunts. Gigs this week, I've got the West Park Productions show at Sunny's at Margate on Saturday the 22nd. Another sold-out show. Going to be fucking amazing, I think. The venue is so keen for it, and hoping to follow up the Orion the other week with another one. Oh, exciting news. I should probably fucking... I'll do the dates and shit next week. But the Orion has basically locked us in for it to be a repetitive show now. They said the venue is stoked with it. They've had so many messages and emails from the crowd saying, let's fucking do it again. So we're going to... The next one is in April. And then we're going to look at doing it every second month. And then if it keeps being good, then we're going to sort of bring it back to monthly. So yeah, that's fucking great news. And then the other gig I'm at this week, Sunday 23rd, I'll be at Big Fork Theatre at Fortitude Valley. Always a fucking fun gig. So if you're around that area, come check it out. Otherwise, send submissions via DM on Instagram at CantGetAnyWorsePodcast. Send me an email at CantGetAnyWorsepod@gmail.com. Two things that I would greatly fucking appreciate this week if you guys can. Share the podcast around to anyone you know might enjoy it. Hoping to keep on this trajectory of it like growing in numbers. Like the downloads every week are growing. I'm doing a little bit of stuff in the background that might be helping that. Won't blow my load on here with what that is just yet, but appreciate all the new listeners that are jumping on board and sending me DMs going, it's actually fucking, it's actually pretty good. So thank you for that. And second thing, if anyone knows anyone that might want to jump on board as a sponsor on the ground level, before we blow the fuck up, you know what I mean? Get them in touch. Tell them to send me a DM, shoot me a DM and just tell me them and I'll reach out to them. Whatever's easier for you guys. But yeah, like I said, keen to get some sponsors on board and make this somewhat, I don't know, not even financially viable. Just get out there a bit more, you know. But appreciate all you guys for listening. If I don't talk to you before next week, I will see you later.